Batra Daf a little like close to halfway down by the Gemara. Our Mishnah mentioned that when we're selling the donkey, it says the gear. What's the gear? Amar Ula Mahloket between Tanakama and Nahum Madi, whether or not the gear is sold, is Besak v'diskaya v'kumni. It's referring to the donkey that has the sack on it, the saddlebag, and the saddle that goes on the side. That's the cargo gear. Tanaka holds that the reason why it's not sold is because a donkey is usually used for riding and not for the cargo. Says, no, donkey is usually used for cargo, and therefore the cargo gear is sold. But regarding riding gear, like the saddle, the blanket, the girth, which is like the strap that attaches to the back to hold the stuff in, and the breast strap, also everybody agrees that it's sold. Mete, question. Sometimes it's friend. I'm selling you a donkey and a gear, and it's gear. How does it sold at the ukav with the saddle, blanket, girth, and strap? But you do not sell the cargo stuff. But you mentioned them. If everything included, then it is sold. Now the Gemara says, the only time it's sold is because I'm selling you donkey and its gear. But if he didn't mention the gear, look, it wouldn't be sold, which is a question because that seemingly says that everybody would agree that it's sold according to Ula. I said, not a proof. Even if you didn't mention the gear as well, it wouldn't be sold. And the saddle and blanket would be sold. Was the hidush. Even if the guy mentioned the donkey and the gear, nevertheless, the sack, the cargo stuff is still not sold. My kumni, we mentioned kumni a few times. What is that? Amar Papa Bar Shmuel, merkafta denashe. It's the special saddle that the woman used to use to sit appropriately. You buy the who? The machlokes regarding the gear of the donkey, about if it's still on the donkey, but if it's not attached to the donkey at the time, would Nahum agree that it's not sold? Or Dilma, maybe the machlokes when the gear is not on the donkey when it was sale. Maybe if the gear is on the donkey, maybe Hachamim would agree to Nahum that it is sold. Gemara says Tashma to bring a proof. Right, so I'm not sure what's the case of the Mishnah. Is it attached or not? The Mishnah mentions the mentions that when I say that it's you, the donkey and everything on it, how does it then it's everything is sold? So now, seemingly, that the Brayta is talking about a case where it's on the donkey. It makes sense to say that the machlok is where it's still on there. Then it's according to Chachamim. But if the machlok is where it's not on it, then if we say that it's the mahloket is where there is no gear at the time, and everybody agrees that it's if it's on the donkey that it's sold, then who would the brayta be according to? Therefore, the Gemara says no, doesn't fit. The mahloket in the Mishnah is talking about a case where the gear is not on it. But it's according to Chachamim the brayta. And when it says that everything with it doesn't mean it's necessarily on it, but rather everything that's fit to be on it, all your accessories, whether or not it's on it, is sold. Tashma is bringing proof from Mishnah. Read that says, it's not sold and it's not sold. Seemingly, what Tanakama is referring to over here is that's what Rabbi is talking about. It's sometimes sold if it's attached, sometimes it's not sold if it's not attached. He says, Rabbi Yudah is teaching you a different hidush completely, which is he is saying that even when the gear is on the donkey, sometimes it's not sold if you don't specify it. Big hidush according to Rabbi Yudah. Amar Ravina Rav Hashem. Tashman's being proof. Macharta karon. Someone sold a wagon to his friend. Lo macharta peredota. He's not. The mules are not included. Macharta karon. Macharta peredota. The Tachliya says that if you sold a wagon, the mules are sold. Amar le banan lo macharta number. Our Mishnah says it's not sold. Amar le ismen. The Tachliya mentioned. Should I delete this bright time? We had this back and forth few dapim ago. Amar lo. Don't delete it. Your bright is referring to the case where it's attached. That's why it's sold. Therefore, we're showing that our Mishnah is where it's not attached. Now, that Mishnah, which is earlier part of the Mishnah, is not attached. Maybe our Mishnah over here seemingly also talking about a case where it's not on it. Big, elaborate way to show that the Mishnah are talking about cases where it's not attached. The Gemara says, no, that's not a proof. The first Mishnah beforehand regarding the boat. Avalo Machar lo atabadim lo antiki. You mentioned the boat. You don't sell the cargo. I mean, my antiki. What's the antiki? My is the merchandise. When we did now that cargo is on the boat. Does that mean Sefer Namir or not? I mean, all other cases, the Allah Mishnah are also on it? No. Each case is different. The boat has the cargo, the donkey doesn't, and the wagon doesn't, and the mule, and the case the donkey can or cannot. They're all different cases. Each Mishnah has separate matters. Each case talks about whether it's on it or not on it is completely different between the ship, between the donkey, and between the wagon. All these rabbis, they all hold it. When a person sells something, everything is sold, including the accessories. Reza holds the following Mishnah. Someone's saying, I'll press my heart. You sell the beam. The Tanan Shbag also says this. We have Mishnah. Shbag Omer, Amachar the Erev selling the city. Machar the center. The center is sold. We had Machloke what the center was. Was that the town clerk slave? Was that the fields? We see that the accessories are sold. Rabbi Meir proof is Braita. Rabbi Meir Machar Takarim, someone sold a vineyard. Machar Tashmiya Karim, also sell the accessories. Rabbi Natan B'Simchol B'Tzit V'Duhit. Rabbi Natan Simchol is referring to the case where it's Bitzit and Dugit, like we had earlier, is the type of rowboat that are considered sold. Now, Hamadi shows over here regarding the cargo that it's sold with the donkey. Rabbi Da mentioned that sometimes it's sold and it's not sold, and it depends on how he mentioned it. Now, the Mishnah brought an interesting lashon. It said, "Ma'ishna hamorchazu u'ma'ishna hamorchahu." What's the difference between if the guy says, "Sell me this donkey that of yours that it's considered part of the sale," or he said, "Sell me your donkey, and not this"? What's the difference? That it's not sold. Amar hamorchazu, when he says this donkey, yadata hamra obviously he knows this donkey belongs to the seller. The fact that he said this, Mishum Kilav Kamala obviously trying to include the gear. But if he just said, sell me the donkey, maybe he does not know who it belongs to. And he's telling him, is this your donkey so you can sell it to me? And there's no reason to believe that he's including the accessories. Okay. Someone's selling a donkey. He sells the child, the foal, FOAL. It's the baby donkey. He sells the cow. The calf is not sold. Why one yes, one not? We'll talk about in the Gemara. Machar Ashpav is selling a manure dump. Machar Zivlah, the manure is sold with it. Machar board, Machar Memav, sell the water pit, the water is sold. Machar Kaveret, Machar Devarim, you sell the beehive, the bees are sold. Machar Shovach, Machar Yonim, you sell the birdhouse, the doves are sold. Hechidami, what's the case of the mother and child animal? If the seller telling the buyer, I'm selling you it and its child, I feel put on Ivanami, and the cow and the calf should also be sold. How come it's excluded? If it did not mention the child, I feel hamor namilov, and even in the case of donkey, the child should not be included. What's going on? How come the child is sold and the cow is not sold? What's going on? Gemara says, the guy is saying, I'm selling you a nursing cow or a nursing donkey. That's the difference. Why? In the case of a cow, the fact that he mentioned nursing, maybe he mentioned the nursing fact, not to say that I want the child with a nursing mother, but rather to tell you that I want the milk of the mother. That's not, so therefore that child's not included. Why would he mention regarding the nursing donkey? You can't use the milk. Therefore, he's obviously telling you that he wants the child. But my card is how come a donkey's child is called a sayach? The foal is called a sayach. Because it follows one who talks to it nicely. And now we're going to get into some mini hagarta. What does it mean? Hamoshalim elo hamoshalim b'yitzram. It's referring to people who rule over the tzaddikim who overcome the Yetzirah. Bo'uv heshbon, bo'uv v'nachshov, heshbon shalom. When it says that pasuk, it says, come let's make an accounting of the world, which means what? Hesed mitzvah keneged tzchara. Let's weigh the loss of a mitzvah against its gain. I mean, look how much we have to gain versus losing it. Uschar avira keneged hefseda. Or the sin's gain, the avira that you get against its loss if you don't do it. Built and established. If you do this accounting, you'll be built in this world because you'll do more mitzvot, less avarot. You'll be established in the next world as well. What does that mean? The person acts like this type of foal, the donkey's child. That what? Because it follows the sweet talk of the Yetzirah. What does it say? A fire will come out from those who do the accounting. The person will be killed, burnt from Gehinam because of the tzaddikim. Consume those who don't make the accounting of their actions. The flame will come from the righteous people who are called trees. It'll consume, the fire will consume those who follow the Yetzirah sweet talk like the donkey does, the child donkey, the foal. And it's referring to people who are haughty. Whoever's haughty will go to Gehinam. What does that mean? Amar Rasha en Ram. If a wicked guy says there's no Hashem, Chas v'shla. Avad Heshbon, or he says Avad Heshbon Shalom, if a person says that the Hashem doesn't hold people accountable for their actions, Ad Divon Amar Kodesh Baruch Hu Hamtin Ad She'evodin. You wait until Judgment Day, and then Benasim Ad Nofah. A fire will come burn this person that does not need fanning. It'll be a very powerful fire. Ad Midvah. It will agonize their soul. But people say, the fire, Hashem will allow the fire to do what it has to be done in order to burn the Rishaim. Whoever separates from the fire, the words of Torah, fire will consume him. The fire will consume them. Make sure you learn Torah every single day. Do the daf. Whoever separates from the words of Torah, Nofel Beginam will go to Gehinam. Shneimar Pasuk says, Adam To'eh Miderech Chaskel. Bikal Refaim Yanuach. And the end of Refaim Gehinam, the word Refaim is referring to Gehinam. Shneimar Pasuk Ki Refaim Sham Be'mekesha Ol Keroeha. Therefore, it says that if you stray away from the wisdom, which is the Torah, you'll fall into Refaim, which is Gehinam. And we should continue learning Torah every day. Amen.